Welcome again to Myth Magic Medicine. Today, this is Dr. Harry Nima Zegarra. Hi, Harry. Thank you so much for joining me today. You arrived in the US in what year? I know you're from Lima, but when did you
Yes.
get to the US?
Yes. So we came in 2007. And first, thank you so much
Oh,
for having me in your
very
show,
recent.
Denise.
Very recent. Okay.
Yes, in 2007. Yeah, well, yeah, it's recent, but now it's like 16, 17
Well,
years now.
I'm old. It feels very recent to me.
Yeah.
So,
Or not.
so you trained in Lima?
Yes, yes,
Can
that's
you
correct.
talk a little bit about the system that they use there? Is it very similar to that system that they use in the Caribbean? Most of the Caribbean schools use the French system of anatomy, and you usually
Yeah.
don't do undergraduate, you go straight to medical school.
Yes, that's correct.
Mhm.
So I mean, it's a little bit different than here in the US, right? Like, so we actually start like in our regular school, right? Like, so in school we don't have like elementary, middle, and high school. So we only have like elementary and high school, right?
Mhm.
And after that you train and you take like you study, right? Like for an admission test, right?
Mhm.
Like, so there's thousands of people like going like to the place, right? Like, and they take like the test, everyone like the same day, and after that like the results come, and then they decide if you're in or not,
All right.
right? Like, so yeah,
Is it a national exam and then they tell you which school you can go to, or do you sit for a particular school?
it's for a particular school. Yes,
Okay.
so it's so each school has like their its independent like test. and
Mm-hmm.
and like, and because of that sometimes it's difficult like when two schools have like the test like the same day, right? Like, so
Oh,
I mean
yes, you
you
can't take
some
both. Yeah.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah. One has to be grateful they do, at least, even though I don't really like the MCAT, at least they have
Mhm.
one system of exams here. It's
Yeah,
good. Yeah.
yeah.
So, did you come from a medical background? Was your family in medicine?
No, no, actually, that's very interesting. I mean, like, I'm first generation that went to college.
Uh-huh.
My family, we come from humble beginnings, actually, and so my mom and my dad too, they were not able like to go to college, so my mom had like a beauty salon, and she was also doing like other kind of businesses, like
Hmm.
including like the real estate. So yeah, no, I mean, like, I was like the first generation to go to school.
What inspired you to go into medicine?
Well, like, big thing, it was my mom, right? Like, so I
Hmm.
mean, like, she is, so I saw her how she would devote her life and work so hard, like for my sister and I, right? Like, so to give us a better opportunities and education, like for both actually, and to again, like, to at some point to be able like to go like abroad, right?
Hmm. Yes, for so many immigrants from so many countries, you need to go somewhere else to get the further education that you need. But
That's correct. Yes.
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 So how long is education, the medical education there in Peru to get a
Yes.
first degree?
Yes, it depends on the medical school. Like, so it used to depend on the medical school. Like it used to be either 7 or 8 years. Now it's more like standardized. It's only 7 years, right? Like, but again, like if you take into account like the undergrad and the graduate school, it's almost like the same
Yeah,
time,
but
right?
true. Does the basic medical education that you get before you get your doctor degree include an internship?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so you come out
Usually,
and you are licensed and you can work as soon as you get your degree.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
correct. Yeah, so you just need like to get like your license, and like again, like you need to write a thesis or something like that, and then like you can work directly as a physician.
Yeah. Did you do that for a while there?
Yes, yes. So I mean, also like, at the time I finished medical school, yes, I had the feeling, and I really wanted to come to the US to continue my training, but I mean, I wasn't 100% sure. So like,
Hmm.
so after like medical school, there's a year that you also do to serve your country and go to the underserved areas in Peru, right?
Hmm.
Which also helps when you try to go into residency in Peru. So I was doing that in part because of that, but also like in part because I mean, I wanted to save some money, like to take like the test, like to come here to the US, and also like
Sure.
the trips and all of that.
Yeah. But I think a lot of Americans say, oh, that doesn't very much. No, it's not very much in American money. Getting other people's money, it's a lot of money.
It's very expensive,
Yeah,
very
yeah,
expensive. And the trips, oh my God, they're
yeah,
really
yeah.
expensive.
Did you come to the country first, or did you just sit the exams in Peru and when you got a place, you came?
So yeah, so we're lucky that in Lima, where I come from, we have like there are a couple of places where you can take like the first steps, right? Like step one
Mhm.
and step two. Of course, like when I was in training and when I was applying here, there was what is called like the clinical skills, where you should come here to the US. There were, I think, at that time like 6 places, right?
There's
Like
st- that went
Houston, Atlanta, New York,
right.
Chicago, right?
Yeah, Philadelphia. They stopped it because of COVID. There's not seemed to be much of an appetite to bring it back.
Yeah,
It was bad enough for the Americans to have to go to very expensive areas to take those exams,
yeah,
but
yeah.
for
No,
foreigners,
absolutely.
it's really a problem.
Yeah, so again, I came to the US for the first time when when actually I was about like to take the clinical skills. So like
Hmm.
I came like I believe like 5 days or 7 days like before the test, and I was there like in my room in the hotel, like just training, like I mean all the questions and answers
Yeah.
with another doctor also from abroad. It was funny, but yeah, this kind
Oh,
of things happen
did you
when
know this person before you met them there?
no, no,
Oh,
no, not at
okay.
all. I mean, we just met in the hotel, and again, there were a couple of doctors from abroad, like that were
Hmm.
training for that test. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, very nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
But you got through it. How
Yes.
long? How long? There's also about 2 months between finishing it and passed and knowing whether you passed or not. So, you went back to Peru, or you stayed in the U.S. while you were waiting for the results?
Yeah. So I came to take the test. I was a little bit late for that cycle, and I
Mhm.
decided like to do some rotations here in the US because I
Oh,
haven't
good.
come before. And that's very important when you're a doctor from abroad, right? Like so you want to have some clinical experience here in the US, even as an observership, right? So I stay here for a couple of months, and then like unfortunately I wasn't able to match in the first cycle, like and the reason was like the same. So I had taken like the clinical skills too late, and the result
Mhm.
came I believe in February or March when it was too late
Yeah.
already. So yeah, but that laid it like the ground like to continue doing other things, right? Like like I was fortunate that for the next cycle I was able like to take like the step 3, so like it was even
Mhm.
better like my application. And also on that round, I mean, like I came to the US for more rotations and for the interviews, and I was coming with my wife too, so with my future wife in that moment, right?
And she graduated with you? She's also a physician, right?
Yes, yes. So was an interesting story. Like, so we are from the same medical school. We're from
Mm-hmm.
the same year, so we knew each other for years, like 8 years, like before we fell in love and we decided like to go out together. And also at the end when because we were coming together to the US, I mean, it just made sense, right? Like I
Yeah.
mean, like
Right.
and again, like we fell in love, and like the rest is history.
Mm-hmm. So you got married in Peru, though, with your families. Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Did she come and take the exams at the same time you did, or was
Yes,
that
yes,
okay?
yes. So we were in the same class and we were almost parallel, and it was just like again in the last year where we were so close like to the match that we decided like again like to apply together, not as a couples match, but but again like apply like almost in the same cities in the same
Right.
geographic
The
areas.
the cities who've got more than one hospital. There's a
Yes,
chance.
exact,
Yes.
exact.
Yeah. Also, probably sensible if you were going to. Were you in the same specialty as well?
No, she's family medicine,
Ah,
and
so that's
I
easy.
was applying for internal medicine initially.
Yeah. So there isn't the scheduling issue, but getting if you're in the same specialty
Oh, it's
in
more
the
difficult.
same
Yes,
year, you can't get time off together, and that's
yes,
it's hard enough without that on top of it.
yes, yeah,
So
yeah,
so you matched immediately into once you were on the right cycle, you
yeah,
got
yeah.
into you didn't have to wait another one. You went into internal medicine.
Yes, yes, that's
Did,
correct.
did did you know at the time what your ultimate subspecialty would be, or was it just this smorgasbord of all sorts of things that you could look at?
At that time, I knew already. Like
Hmm.
I knew that I really liked pulmonary.
Hmm.
I haven't been that exposed to critical care in my country because in my country, like in Peru, like the specialties are separate, right? Like so you
Hmm.
either do like a pulmonary or critical care. But here in
Hmm.
the US is together, right? Like so I had been exposed to surgical critical care, and it was okay, but it was not really exciting like in that moment to me, right? Like so
Hmm.
I wanted to be exposed to critical care in my residency. So that's why I asked for extra time in the ICU.
Good.
Silly me, right? Like initially,
Yeah,
like an
but
internal nurse.
usually people are quite happy to let you do that.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, that's right. Oh, please be my guest. I can stay another month if you want. Yes.
Yeah, that's good. So that was your first love, and you placed. Where did you actually do your residency? I forgot. You said
Yeah.
you were in the same town, but you didn't say which
Yes.
town that was.
Yes. Yeah. So we were like in Pennsylvania. It was in the Lehigh Valley area. Like the city is called like Bethlehem. So
Mhm.
and we were very lucky and blessed that again, like we didn't match in the same hospital, but it was in the same area.
See, I didn't tell you, but in the 50 years I've lived in the United States, I'm originally from England.
Oh,
I have lived in Catasauqua,
oh, it's
which is
not that far. Yeah, 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 yeah.
right next
Yeah.
door to Bethlehem.
Yeah. I did my residency in St. Luke's. Yes.
Okay, okay. I
Yeah.
was there before your time, but
Yeah.
okay. So
Really.
where did your wife go? Where did she wind up?
She went to Sacred Heart Hospital in Allentown.
Right?
So again, like so it's like Bethlehem, Allentown, Easton, right?
Yes.
I was in Bethlehem, she was in Allentown. Like the difference is only 10 minutes in driving, right? 10 or 15 minutes in driving. So we
Mhm.
were able like to live together. I mean, during all our residency. Allentown, she did family medicine there.
Yeah, I did ER. I worked in the ER at urgent care at Sacred Heart, but well before your time.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
so you both finished your residency at the same time?
No, actually, I finished my residency a year earlier than her. So I mean, like I applied and I got like in the match 1 year before her.
Oh, I see.
So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and that's also part of the reason why after my residency, I looked for a job kind of close by the area, right?
Hmm.
Like so I can work and we continue living together. And also at the same time, I was making my CV stronger or like
Yeah.
more competitive, right? Like so. So after the residency, I was working for 2 years in Philadelphia in one of the UPenn hospitals in the Penn Presbyterian in the ICU again, like
Hmm.
right, like as an ICU hospitalist.
Good. And your wife was with you, or you were commuting?
Yeah, I was commuting every day, right? Like so. I mean, but no, it was not every day. I mean, it was like 16 shifts a month or something like that.
Right.
So it was like the model of 7 on and 7 off or something like
Oh,
that.
okay.
So
Yeah.
so it was not terrible, but it was difficult during the winter, as you can imagine, like with snowstorms and
Quite a bit of snow up that way. Yeah.
with the freezing rain. But yeah, I learned how to drive in snow with a small Corolla. Fun times. Yeah.
Was it a sort of an aside from that, but did you find adjusting because Lima has its cold times, doesn't it?
It's not that cold. I mean, it's actually very template. It's
Okay.
kind of it's kind of similar as California if you think about it.
Oh, really? I always assumed it was up a mountain, so it'd be cold. Um, did
Yeah.
you, so you were commuting as she finished her third year in family medicine, is that
Yes.
right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
And then she started work, or did she start subspecialty training as well?
Yeah. So like the great thing is that, or like the great news for us was that she got pregnant her last year of residency. So very soon after she finished her residency, we had our first boy or first baby.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a blessing, was the best thing. And yeah, so it was like the best timing, right? Like, so she just had finished her residency. I was, so working as a hospitalist and I had like the time like to spend with her and the baby, right?
Mhm.
Like, so it was, yeah, no, it was great.
Good. So she took a year off to be able to be with the baby before she
Yes,
did her
yes,
specialty.
yes.
What's her subspecialty?
She's mainly in general family medicine. Yes,
Okay. Okay.
yes.
I'm sorry. I thought when you were speaking before that that's why she was in training still when you finished, because she was still doing her residency. I thought she
Yeah,
had done a fellowship also.
yeah.
Okay. So she's not a hospitalist then. Neither are you. You're intensive
No,
care now?
yes. So I actually work now like in Dallas Fort Worth. So I'm full time here, and I'm in pulmonary critical care. Yeah, most of the time, probably 80% of the time, I devote to critical care and 20% to
Was
pulmonary.
that because you wanted to be in a warmer climate,
Uh,
or
yes,
just
yes.
just the best offer?
we always thought that we were gonna come back to the East Coast because we
Hmm.
love the area. I mean, like so we had been in Pennsylvania and also in Virginia,
Hmm.
in Virginia because of the fellowship of the Pulmonary Critical Care training,
Hmm.
and we love the area, we love the nature and all of that. But we came here to Texas in part of the immigration work and paperwork that we needed to do
Hmm.
because of the offer too. But once we came here, I mean, we really love the area, so we decided to stay.
You came under a J1 or an H2?
An
H1.
an H1, an H1,
Hmm.
yes.
Were you both on H1s, or were you the primary and your wife got a
Yeah, so I was an H1, and when she applied, she also get her own H1. So
J1?
so
Okay.
so, so because we both did the step 3 like before applying to residency.
How long, since most Americans are oblivious to the intricacies of immigration, how long did that process take to get the visa? Admittedly, it helps to be in medicine because they need doctors.
Yes,
And how long did it take? Are you citizens now?
yes, we're
How
citizens now.
how long did it take to do that changeover from an H1 to a green card to
So
citizenship?
in theory, since you came, I mean, you're 3 years on H1, then like after that, you can get an employer, and like the employer can sponsor your green card. And after 2 years, you get the green card, 2 or 3 years. So that's 6 years and 5 years more. And then you can apply for citizenship, right? Like, so that's 10, 11 years probably around.
Right. So you're
And then,
recent citizens.
yeah, yes. So we have been like for a year and a half, 2 years.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yes.
With American children. They were born here, yes.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, no, and we feel like the US and America like is our home now, right? Like, I mean, we have
Hmm.
been here for so long. I mean, we are so Americanized. I mean, like when we go back to Peru, I mean, of course, we love our food, our family and friends and all of that, but
Sure.
I mean, it's a little bit different, right? Like, I mean, like you feel like home here.
Hmm. Are your family members able to come up here and visit you?
Yes. So
Good.
most of our family is back in Peru still, right? Like and
Hmm.
you can imagine, I mean, like mom, dad, her dad and brother who's also a physician who works over there. I mean,
Hmm.
they are so used to Peru. I mean, and Peru is home, right? Like so they come here also like because they love us and all of that and
Of
they want to
course.
see their grandchildren. But I mean, like they just want to go back to Peru as quick as possible, like every time they can.
Yeah, it's a long trip too. It's a pretty long
Yes,
flight. Yeah.
yes.
Okay. So what do you think? You've been practicing here for a long time, actually much longer now, even than you were in school and practicing there. But
Right.
but do you feel there's a huge difference in the way medicine is practiced
You mean
or
like in like
experienced by the patient? Yeah. Do you feel there's a huge difference in the philosophy of medicine?
comparing Peru to the
Peru to
US?
the US. Hmm.
Yes, absolutely. No, absolutely. In Peru, you can imagine we're a third world country, right? So we have very limited resources.
Hmm.
So the medicine, how it's practiced in Peru, even like until when I came like 10 years ago or 15 years ago, it was more like the paternalistic type of medicine, right? Like
Hmm.
so I mean, of course you have the best intentions and you have taken like the Hippocratic oath. But to some degree, you kind of guide your patient in telling him or her what's the best thing for the loved ones, right?
Hmm.
Not necessarily giving a bunch of information that sometimes can confuse like the people more, right? But again, like just trying what is to do the right thing and the appropriate thing. Here in
Hmm.
the US, it's a little bit different. I mean, of course, right? Like we disclose most of the things or absolutely everything, right? Like so, the patient and family can take an informed decision, right? Like, and you can
Hmm.
imagine, right? Like I'm in pulmonary critical care. I work in the ICU. I deal with life and death
Every moment.
situations
Hmm.
every single day. So it's important to have that clarity, that transparency, but also like to have like the rapport, not just with the patient, but also with the family, right? Like
Hmm.
for many of us who work in the ICU, we see this every single day, right? But if you imagine, I mean, like just going to the ICU or just being intubated or in the breathing machine, it's a big thing. I mean, that changes your life, right? So we sometimes forget about that, like, because we
We
work with
do,
every
because
single day.
that is our comfort zone. Exactly.
Yeah.
But not being intubated. It's very different when you're the patient, but when you're the
Absolutely.
doctor, you forget how terrifying the place is.
Yes.
Because you
Yes.
know what all the funny noises are.
Yeah.
So part of the reason I started this series, not the podcast, but this season 3, is because I was talking with from Uzbekistan. And when I was talking with her in general, she said that she couldn't give people bad news in her homeland. That was, it just didn't, it was considered cruel to burden the patient with that. So you told them what to do, and you could tell the family as much as you think the patient would the family would understand, which I sometimes think is much kinder. But of course, you know, it took you 8 years to learn medicine. It took me pretty much the same amount of time. You can't give that to a patient and ask them to evaluate what you're explaining to them. So the trust thing has to be there, and they have, at some point, you're going to have to say this choice or this choice, not here's a list of things that you could do.
Yes, absolutely. And that's also some of the things that we usually try to do when we're in the ICU. So for example, like as you were saying, like some of the defense mechanisms, right? Like so we sometimes try to be very professionals or very technical on things, but that's not necessarily like the way that you should do things, right? Like because if you tell that to a lay person, he or she is not going to understand that, right? Like, so you need to be on the same ground and the same level of this other person.
And also when you're telling people terrible news and it's terrible to them, it's probably one of the worst days of their life.
Absolutely.
They have a buzzing in their ears. So what you're saying is just, you know, not going
in
for, like, you've got to repeat it many times. Yeah. And come, you know, circle around an hour or two later and make sure they retained what you said to them.
Yes, that's correct.
What's your average day, hour-wise? How much time are you at the hospital?
Yeah, so I'm very grateful that, again, actually, I mean our group is kind of like a big group actually in the hospital. So I usually work 17, 18 shifts a month. And like every time we're there, our schedule is kind of different, right? Like, so there may be some weeks that I'm working in the morning, some weeks I'm working in the afternoon or mid-afternoon, evening. Sometimes I'm working nights. So I mean, like, if you ask how's your schedule, I mean, it's very difficult to explain. But yeah, like the average is 8 to 12 hours. Yes.
Okay. How many days a week?
It changes, but again, like it's an average of 17 to 18 days a month.
Yeah. So much more civilized than residency.
Yeah. Yes.
Residency is very hard.
Yeah. No, but honestly, I mean, I cannot complain really. I mean, like it's a big hospital. We have help from, I mean, and we work with residents, with medical students, with fellows, with APPs. So we have a lot of help. So we are able, like, to, again, like, to have the time to stay with the patients, and all, like, also like to do some teaching and the rounds with APPs.
So you're happy and you don't see yourself leaving where you are now?
Well,
your sudden desire to go to Alaska or something?
There's no perfect thing for anyone, I guess, like in this world, right? Like, and you need to take you have to learn to take the good things and be grateful for the good things that you have or you have accomplished, right? Like I like before coming to Dallas, I was in McAllen for 2 years. And I was in another completely different setting. I was like in private practice. So very hectic, very quick, a lot of work. You maybe make more money, but at the same time, you have like friends outside your group and outside your group, and also like Hispanic doctors and all of that. Here, I mean, I also have like a very good friends in my practice and all of that, but it's more structured. Again, like you feel sometimes you may not have like the freedom of, for example, just going home and have lunch, and you need like to be in the hospital actually all the time, right? But it's just like a different setup, right? Like, and you need that just to get used. The only change that I probably, I mean, and this is pretty much the same with any hospitalist or ICU doctor, right? Like, I wish I would do less weekends, probably, right? and I wish I would do less nights, right?
Yeah,
I mean, and at some point, that's what we are aiming, right? Like, so again, like to have more time on the weekends and nights, like to be with family or do like
of
the things
course.
that you like to do, right?
So do you do any, what do you do outside of the world of medicine? What other things are you interested in?
Oh, a couple of things. A couple of things. So one of the things is that I like to run. So
Mhm.
and actually I didn't discover that passion until I came to the US. So I ran my first
Competitively or just for fun?
for fun, but I try now to get more like of it now, like and go higher and higher, right? So
Mhm.
I ran my first half marathon when I was in my last year of residency. And then after that, I ran another one, and then I left it for 10 or 11 years when my two kids were born and I was in fellowship. And now in the last 2 years, I have picked it up, like, and I have ran two half marathons. And I just recently, 2 months ago, I ran my first full marathon. So I
Oh,
mean, I'm really into that. I really like that. I think like it's also part of your health, right? Like, and also
mhm.
sometimes that helps me. I mean, like when you have a stressful day or a
Yes.
very busy day, I mean, you will think, I mean, you're tired and busy and stressed, so you're gonna do more stuff. Yeah, but again, it's something that I mean,
But
like
different stuff.
you like, and it's outside medicine, right? And all of that.
Yeah.
Yes. Also, for 4 or 5 years almost now, we also do real estate, like my wife and I. So we have our single family homes, and we also do some commercial real estate, right? Like just to be like busy and have fun with other things
And just
outside
have
medicine.
something different to worry about.
Yes.
How about your kids? How many children do you have?
So we have two kids. We have two
Okay.
kids, two boys, and you can imagine how's the house.
Yes, I can.
Every,
I had three, but they're in the 30s.
okay,
Eventually they grow up.
okay.
So what stage are they in school?
One is 11 years old, and the other one is eight. So
Have they?
actually, like today was their first day of school. So we took
That's
them to the
right.
school
You
today.
go
Yes.
so early in the summer back down there, but you get out early.
Yeah.
When have either of them expressed an interest in medicine with two parents as physicians? Or have they said
Uh,
anything but medicine? My kids said my husband's an engineer, and all of them coming up said, not going to be a
yeah.
doctor, not going to be an engineer. Got a
Yeah.
doctor, got an
No.
engineer.
Uh, we hadn't asked that question that again like in detail to them, right? Like so,
Oh,
I mean, like it's just like a general, hey, what would you like to do when you're
yeah,
older? And they say like, oh, I mean, of course, like a police or an astronaut or like a
yeah.
football player, like a soccer player, right? And but it's nothing that my wife or I or myself we would want to put a pressure on them on doing that. I mean, like I I have told them like whatever they try to do or decide to do, we're going to be supporting them, but they need to really put their effort on that,
Yeah, that's
right?
what
Like, so,
happened. As we felt exactly the same way, but they just announced without any prompting they weren't going to do this. And as I said, I've got three sons. One's a doctor, one's an engineer, one's an urban
hmm,
planner. He managed to escape us, but
that's awesome.
they just announced one day, "Oh,
Oh,
I've decided I'm going to do this." Oh, okay,
what was the
fine.
last one? The
But
spoiler.
yeah. But did do you ever go back and do anything medical in Peru, or you just go back and visit
Yeah,
family?
so that's in the plans. Yeah,
Hmm.
so that's I mean, and we have come in our journey here in the US, from again just barely being able to make it like to the US to being now more comfortable and now being have the time like to do other things, right?
Hmm.
Like running or real estate or other things with our kids or traveling even, right? Like, and that's I believe always is like the last part of you as a human being, right? Like to be able like to give back like what you have gained over the years to other people, right? Like so yeah, I
Hmm.
mean that's absolutely in the plan. We haven't been able to do, I mean, I was able to do a couple of only one day some medical campaigns in Peru like but a long time
Hmm.
ago, but that's in the in like in our plans at some point.
You have any other words of wisdom for people? What do you most
No,
enjoy? What do you most miss about Peru? And what do you most enjoy about being in America?
uh I miss about Peru my
Aside
family.
from family
Oh
obviously doesn't
yes,
matter where you are, you're going to miss your family. But
yes.
what
uh,
cannot be reproduced here?
the food,
The food.
absolutely the food.
Okay.
Yes, I mean, like we have very good restaurants here, like even in Dallas, but the food is different. I mean, it's not completely authentic. I mean, like, and all the spices are a little bit different. So, I mean, you're not gonna be able like to get authentic Peruvian food until you go back to Peru.
Okay.
And
All right.
and what we and just like I think like what you like here from the US or
yeah. What do you most enjoy about being here, about being in the US, aside from being paid well as a physician?
yeah, no, I mean like I mean, I don't know, like our life. I mean, like we don't have necessarily like an exciting life or flashy life or anything like that, but just being able to have a simple life with wife and kids, and spend time together. Time. I mean, of course, we have like have some money or like are able like to earn, right, like, and have, you may say, but the most important thing is like that allows you to spend time with your family, right, like, and how you spend time with them, right? So yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Do you have anything else you wish to say? Are you doing any courses? Are you teaching? Are you
No, I
this
mean,
isn't
like,
a bit, please give a plug to whatever it is. Anybody need to buy a house, go talk to him.
no, again, like, I mean, like, just grateful for you having me your show. I mean, I just wanted like to chat with you, and again, like, thank you.
Oh, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us at Myth Magic Medicine. If you have found this episode useful, you can apply for free CME credit through the link provided in the transcript. If you're not a medical professional, please remember, while we're physicians, we're not your physicians. So please consult with your own healthcare professional if you think something you have heard might apply to you or a loved one. Until next time, bye-bye.